Okay, so we're talking about the Oscars, right? But not the usual red carpet glamour. We're going deeper.
Behind the velvet rope stuff.
Exactly. We're talking about the hidden machinery, the power dynamics, the stuff that most people don't even realize is going on.
Like trying to move an iceberg, right?
Yeah. A whole lot of frozen history there.
And this year, the buzz around Barbie.
Yeah.
Total iceberg moment. To unpack this, we're diving deep with Dr. Jareau Almeyda.
And he's not just some talking head, you know? Dr. Almeyda, he was actually on the 85th floor of the World Trade Center on 9/11.
Whoa, okay. Talk about a life-altering event. You can just tell his work has this depth to it, you know?
Yeah, like he's not just theorizing about change, he's lived it.
Exactly. And that perspective makes his take on the Oscars so fascinating, especially this whole idea of the old guard.
The old guard.
Yeah, it's like, even when you've got this big, visible effort to diversify, there are these, like, deep-seated biases that can be really hard to shake.
So how does that play out with the Oscars? Because, like, isn't it just about who gets the most votes?
Well, it's more nuanced than that, right? Like, Dr. Almeyda, he actually breaks down the Academy's whole voting process.
Oh, okay, so walk me through this, because I'll admit I'm a little fuzzy on how it all actually works.
So you've got over 10,000 Academy members, all these different parts of the film industry, right?
Actors, directors, the whole shebang.
Yeah. And they nominate and vote within their own branches. So like actors vote for actors, directors for directors, and so on. But Best Picture. That's where it gets interesting.
Everyone gets say.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So even though the Academy's been making an effort, inviting more women, people of color, international filmmakers.
That old guard voting block is still a huge factor.
Especially for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And those ingrained biases, they have a way of showing up, consciously or not.
Which brings us back to Barbie, right? I mean, box office smash, cultural phenomenon, but the Oscar love wasn't quite there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Ryan Gosling, he gets a nomination for Best Actor, which, hey, good for him.
It was really Margot Robbie's movie.
Exactly. Her performance is a Barbie, and yet no Best Actress nod.
And it's not just Robbie. Greta Gerwig, who directed it, snubbed for Best Director. Almost like the Academy saying, we can handle a feminist take on a toy, just not too feminist.
And that right there, that's the kind of subtle bias Dr. Almeyda is talking about. It's like the more things change,
the more they stay the same.
You got it. It's not always blatant. It's this underlying resistance to really shaking things up that keeps the old guard in control.
So we've got this entrenched system, right? Feels almost impossible to change. But then
Dr. Almeyda hits us with, well, penguins.
Penguins, out of left field, right?
Right. He recommends this book, Our Iceberg is Melting.
Okay.
It's by John Cotter and Holger Rathgeber. It's, get this, a fable about a penguin colony. Their iceberg, you guessed it, is melting.
All right, I'm willing to play along. But how do penguins, melting ice, how does any of this connect to, like, the Oscars? Or even just, changing things in our own lives?
See, that's what's so cool about this book. It takes this simple story, almost whimsical, right? But it's about these deep truths of how change really happens in any system.
So, okay, walk me through it.
All right, so in the book, there's this penguin, Fred. He discovers that their iceberg, their home, it's not so permanent anymore.
Melting away.
Exactly. Which means their whole way of life, it's under threat.
So Fred's kind of like the Dr. Almeyda figure here, right? He sees the system, everyone thinks it's solid, unshakable, but he knows it's in danger.
100%. And just like those penguins, all comfy in their routines, the old guard, whether it's Hollywood, some big company, even our own families, they resist change, even when it's make or break time.
Because it is scary. We get stuck in those ruts, and even when you know something's got to give, it's like overwhelming. Where do you even start with an iceberg?
And that is where Dr. Almeyda's chipping away idea comes in. He gets this directly from Our Iceberg is Melting. See, he says, don't get bogged down by the size of the problem.
Don't try to melt the whole thing at once.
Impossible. Instead, you find those little cracks, those fissures. That's where you start. Small changes.
So with the Oscars, it's not about waiting for, like, a total revolution. It's about seeing those little victories, those signs of the iceberg, what cracked.
Exactly. The Academy diversifying its membership.
Yeah.
That's a chip. Nominating a film like Barbie that, yeah, it challenges some norms. Another chip.
Instead of getting disheartened by how slow it all seems, we should be looking for those cracks because they tell us something's happening.
And that, my friend, is where Dr. Almeyda's own story takes, well, let's just say, an unexpected turn.
Oh, okay, you're going to have to fill me in on this one. What's the twist? Okay, you're going to have to spill the tea. What's this unexpected turn?
All right, so are you ready for this? Dr. Almeyda, dance enthusiast.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a quick break. Want to equip your child with the skills of top global consultants? Don't let them fall behind. Raising Tomorrow's Leaders, The Consultant's Mindset by Dr. Jareau Almeyda is your guide to fostering essential skills in your children for their lifelong success. Available now on Amazon. Okay, welcome back.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah. Big time. And we're not talking casual waltzing here. Back in 2000, get this, he actually created like a whole online dance video platform before YouTube was even a thing.
Whoa, okay. That's some serious foresight. So he was an early adopter, but I'm still not seeing the connection to, leadership, the Oscars, icebergs.
Think about it. Building an online community back then, especially around something as niche as dance.
Okay, yeah, that takes some hustle.
You've got to connect with people, spot trends, adapt to this whole new technology landscape. Nobody was handing out roadmaps back then.
He was figuring it out as he went.
Exactly. And those are invaluable skills for any leader in any field. It's like he was unwittingly training to navigate those organizational icebergs all along.
So from dance floors to, well, escaping one of the most horrific events in history,
Yeah.
then leading change in a company, that's quite a journey.
And it all comes together in his book, actually, Raising Tomorrow's Leaders.
Right, I was just about to ask about that, but isn't that, more for parents?
The title might throw you off, but the skills he talks about,
Mm.
analytical thinking, communication, adaptability, bouncing back from setbacks, these aren't just for kids.
It's about recognizing that, hey, we all have the potential to be leaders.
In our own ways, absolutely. Whether you're facing down a melting iceberg, a career change, or just trying to get your cat to use the litter box, it's about taking those small but meaningful actions.
Chipping away.
You got it. And sometimes, just like those penguins waddling into uncharted territory, those little chips lead to the biggest transformations.
And hey, speaking of transformations, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for everyone listening to ponder. What's the one iceberg, that big stuck thing in your life that you're ready to start chipping away at? It doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't require a red carpet. Maybe it's finally starting that project, having that tough conversation, or simply choosing to see the cracks as signs of hope, not just things falling apart. Because sometimes those cracks, they're letting the light in, showing us where the real change can happen.